Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this one we're going to look at the lab that really comes under the Microsoft Learning, where we're going to work on preparing for a disaster recovery with Azure Site Recovery. Okay, in this lab, unfortunately you do need to have a subscription available to you. Microsoft is not going to give you a demo environment for this one. So what you need to do first, you need to set up an environment. So what are you going to protect? So that you need to create. And in this exercise, looks like we're going to create a virtual machine, a virtual network, two virtual machines, and a storage account. That's what we are going to create, and it will be configured in the also resource group in the West US. Okay, and we'll configure Azure Site Recovery to use the West US region in our target region. So I guess these resources are going to be in the East US. We are going to create a resource group in the West, and then we'll use a Site Recovery Service Vault, okay, that is deployed in the West US to replicate over there. So what we'll do, we'll go to our Azure account and we'll come up our bash shell. Okay, and there is a GitHub a template file. That template file, we're gonna go and deploy it in our environment. So let's get there. So this is my Azure environment. So I just need to click on this one, and it should give me the CLI or the PowerShell, one of these environments. If it takes a little long, then just refresh the page and just re-click it one more time, and this time it should give you that. Yeah, there we go. So it's now starting and it's opening in a bash environment which we want to have. So that looks good. So at this time what we need, we want to run this crawl command, and this this is gonna take this and it's gonna store in our local environment a copy of this deploy.json file. Okay, so let's go over here and paste it and hit run. So there we go. So it has got that file, average speed and everything, 100% is done. So my file should be there. So if I do a ls on it, here is your deploy.json file. Okay, so if you're gonna take a look into that, maybe you can do a less command on that. There we go. So you can look at the whole deployment, what it's deploying. Since we know that we're gonna deploy two different virtual machines, I would expect that is gonna have two different virtual machines and associated resources, one virtual network, and somewhere it must be specified that we are deploying it in the East US region, right? So let's see what else we need to do. Just hit Q if you're using this. Hit Q to get out of this list, and it's just a basic standard Linux list command. So come over here. Now over here, run the following commands to create a resource group. So let's do that. So let's okay, so they're doing two resource group, one in the West US 2 and another in the East US 2 forests. And a simple command is group create name West Coast resource group and East Coast resource group. So that's pretty simple, and notice how they are using the naming convention is very convenient. So as soon as you look at your resource group itself, you know that it's a resource group that's deployed in the East region, and other one it's deployed in the West region. Pretty smart. Alright, so once we have that, then now we can deploy our file that we downloaded. And the way you do that, you run easy deployment group create command, and you provide the name of it, then template file, you provide which template file you are deploying, and parameters, storage account, something name, and okay, so you need a random and unique storage account for your resource group. Okay, so that you need, and resource group West Coast RJ. So looks like you are deploying it in this resource group for this particular deployment. So let's get that, and come over here, go to the bottom and hit paste, and let's see what happens. It may take a little bit of time to deploy the whole thing, and you see that it says running, and that means the deployment is in progress right now. So I'm going to pause the video for just a minute or so, and as soon as this deployment is done, we'll come back and restart the lab. Alright everyone, it looks like the deployment is successful. So what I really want to do quickly, go to our resource groups, and we have created two different resource groups, the East Coast and the West Coast, and the most deployment, it looked like they went into the West Coast only. And here look at that, we have a network security group, disk IP address, virtual machine, storage account. So all of that is here. If I go to East, I only have the resource created but nothing else. Okay, so what our goal would be to replicate all of the items that we have in the West Coast back to the East Coast region. Now what we need for this is Azure Site Recovery. Okay, and let's see how to configure that one. Alright everyone, let's see what we need to do the next. As a next step, really you gotta follow the next phase of it. This is recovery preparation with Azure Site Recovery. Okay, so what is we need to do? Add a recovery services vault. We need to organize the target resources and configure outbound network connectivity, and finally set up a replication on existing VM. So Microsoft got a really nice diagram here. I really like this one. So what it's telling you in the first place, that you have the virtual network here, okay, and this is deployed in the East US region. You want to replicate everything over there in the target environment, which is in the central US, right? So if you look at it, what's going on, you have your virtual machines, they have the disk associated with it, they are saved in a storage account. All of that is going to be cast into another storage account, and from there the data will flow to the other environment. Okay, so we will set up a recovery service vault, so I don't have to go through this in too much of details. So and there is something, if you are doing it for the on-prem, there you gotta have access to some of the websites over here that you can go through, and for us it's now required. When we set up, it will automatically be configured. The another thing you need to make sure that you have up-to-date updated Azure VM root certificates, and for this is another important aspect of it. What kind of permission do you need for this movement? So if you have a large enterprise and you different role given to different people, so for this backup and recovery, you at least gotta have site recovery contributor role. This person will have full permission to Azure Site Recovery operations in a recovery services vault, and this is suitable for disaster recovery elements. Okay, and then finally, what is the mobility service? Excuse me. So when you set up this Azure backup and recovery, if you see this site recovery extension mobility service, this will get automatically installed to your virtual machine. So you really do not have to do anything manually. So that's all you need to know. Excuse me. So let's go to the next page, if it let me go. Alright, so over here we are gonna start. So we already have in our account, we have the East Coast RG, which is empty. This is where we have deployed West Coast resource group, and we're gonna deploy a recovery services vault in this phase. Okay, so typically if you see, again, this diagram is really cool, and again you can make some of this diagram from even inside the Azure if you know how to do it. So here is the primary region. Again, you have two different VMs, and a VM is not just one component. You have a NSG associated with it. It's got an IP address, a network interface, okay, and then a default subnet, and the subnet is under this ASR virtual network. Okay, same thing, under this default network we have another network or another virtual machine is deployed, This machine also got their own NSG and own IP records, okay, and all of that we're going to create a Azure Site Recovery to replicate to the East US region. So this is what we are really going to do. So let's perform these operations right here. How to do that? So let's go to Azure portal, and always, you know, it's really easy, and we're gonna select the backup and site recovery, and within the East Coast resource group we are going to call this ASR vault. Okay, let's follow the directions, and so let's come over here. If you just search for the recovery services vault, that is what you need. It says backup and site recovery. I don't think there's anything called backup and site recovery anymore. Let's see, backup and site recovery. You see there is nothing in there. From marketplace there is something called backup and site recovery. You can go there, but that is that let's see, what is that, create, but it says, see, recovery services vault. So I think that name got renamed. I have never seen anything that says backup and site recovery. So what you really need, you click on recovery and get the recovery services vault. There is a lot of confusion. So when I first started studying this, I was heavily confused what we're talking about. So recovery services vault is what you need. Okay, so now if you hit add, then it's going to give you your options. So here we told that we're going to deploy that to the East Coast resource group. That is where we want to replicate our West Coast resources, right? And here vault name, I'm just going to select ASR vault, and I'm going to make it name must start with the letter, what are you talking about, and no hyphen. So okay, so the name they're suggesting, it's now complaining. Set the vault name as ASR vault. Set the vault name as ASR. Okay, I got it. So it says now green. For some reason we were having trouble. Okay, so this one needs to be in the East US, right? This, or East US 2. Where did we deploy? East US 2 is most probably where we deploy, right? East US 2, yeah. So that's good. And pretty much all you need over here, if you want, you can do some tags, okay, and then just hit review and create, and it will say the default backup configuration for storage replication type is set to geo redundant. Okay, default security setting and all that will be applied, and if you click on it, it will take you to some more documentation. Okay, so the default is good for our purposes. So I'm just gonna hit and create. So this is going to give me the one of the things that I need for my replication purposes, okay, for my site recovery. And this, as you see, it just took us a second. You can go to the resource, and again this experience is very similar. Here is my recovery services vault. If you have seen my other video where I moved one virtual machine from one region to another, so you know we have already explored some of it. But here is pretty much where you are going to configure a lot of things like policies, what to back up, what to replicate, and all that kind of stuff. So here what we need to do, we need to enable replication. Okay, so for the replication you have a backup option and a replicate options. If you click on it, it gives you 3 different options that you need to configure: your source, virtual machines, and replication setting. All of that you need to configure. The source is the Azure, so it's not on-prem. Our machines are still in the Azure. Source region is West US 2, right? That's where we have deployed. So source West US 2. Azure virtual machine deployment model, it's the ARM template, so resource manager is good. For us, here is the subscription where we have everything. Right now we have only one subscription, and source resource group is the West Coast RG. That's where we deploy. And disaster recovery between availability zone, this one we can either say yes or no. Let's see what our instruction is saying us to do. So Azure West US 2 resource manager, West Coast RG, okay, and then I guess they are here. They when they created this documentation, they didn't even have the the disaster recovery option for us. So I'm just going to select the default and just say no. Okay, and click OK. So we have now configured our source, which is the West US2. Now as soon as you click on that one, you see that it already picked up what are the virtual machines that are running in this particular region, right? So you have the HR records and the patient records. These are the two virtual network that we have. Okay, so you can select both of the virtual machines. Okay, let's see what they're saying us to do. So here we are choosing both of them, and selected virtual machine, it will set to, is it saying to, yeah, selected virtual machine 2. You can click on it and it can tell you what are the virtual machines. Okay, select virtual machine, go back, you can hit OK now. So that will pick up your virtual machines. And last we are gonna have the third configuration option. Now it's configured. So what are you gonna do with it? Alright, so target subscription you can customize if you are moving to a different subscription altogether, but in our case our target subscription is this subscription only, so we don't need to do anything. So we still need to configure this, but even if you don't configure, see what is going to do. It's saying that it's going to create a target resource group West Coast RGASR. But I think since we have already created a resource group, we have probably customized this and used that particular resource group. Whereas I think I might, leave it as default, where you're just gonna be prepend your existing resources naming convention with a -ASR extension. So let's see what they're saying. So click on customize, and as we thought they might do, East Coast RG is what we have chosen. Everything else, I think they are keeping it as default. And over here they're asking us to keep the 24-hour retention policy, recovery point retention 24 hours, app consistent snapshot frequency 4 hours, and replication group is none. So let's come over here. So let's do some customization on it. Alright, let's just customize this. If you click on it now, what is going to happen? Replication policy, I'm going to use the default one, name, recovery point retention, and app consistent. Like if you click on it, you can change all of that. And do you want to enable multi-VM consistency? I'm not gonna do anything like that. Click OK. Here is what I need to customize for the target resource group. So here, this is the one that I'm going to choose. The rest of it, okay, I'm just going to accept the ASR VNet ASR. Let me make sure that is what, if they are also ASR VNet. So everything else I think they are choosing. And over here, cache storage, they are asking us to take a look at it. Cache storage, do I have existing ones? Let's see. Their everything is new, so yeah, I'm not going to change anything over here. I'm just going to let it create whatever it needs. And target availability type single instance, and we have not configured any availability zone, so that's fine. I'm not going to change anything in that one either. So we have done that. In the target resource group, we have done that. For each VM, change the cache storage to ASR cache XXXX. Interesting. So they want us to change this. So let's do that. For here, let's see. Can we change that? How do we change that? New. I don't think it's letting me change to anything. Oh, there. Oh, I see the cache storage. We have already created a cache storage account, so they're just asking that use that particular storage account. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, that's the storage account that we have already created. So two things that we did, we have created the resource group before we are trying out this replication, and we also created this resource group where we are gonna try out this replication. And just to be double sure, let's go to portal, and oh, I'm not even logged in. That's interesting. Alright, so we are in. Just click on the storage account, and that one should, this is the one, ASR cache. So if you look at it, this one we have already created in the West Coast resource group. So what is gonna happen, all the replication that is gonna happen, they're gonna store anything that needs to be cached in this particular storage, okay? And then from this storage we will transfer all the data to the other region. So that all looks good. I'm gonna say okay. So I think we have configured most of it, so we should be good. And at this time, enable replication is only other thing that we need to do, right? So we don't need, okay, I still have to do something. Create target resources is what you need to click on it, and that is going to start the deployment of whatever is needed for this whole process, and it's going to do some stuff. Let's look at it if it's okay. So it must have been in that direction that we were not following it very closely, but we are in the same place. If we're here now, you need to click on enable replication for the 2 VMs. Now this process may take some time, so let's go back over here, and if you see, it says monitor replication in progress. And what you can do, you can go to the recovery services vault, and then under monitoring we are going to select the recovery services job. So let's try that. So from here, we are here, so recovery services jobs, you can, if you click on that, you see that create a replication policy. It was successful a little bit ago. Once that is successful, we have started this process, and this is in progress. So we are gonna monitor this for a while, and then once this is done, we'll continue with the lab. So we'll pause the video and be back in a few seconds. Alright everyone, we are back, and it seems like all of our replication has been successful, and you can look at the log. And so we looked at this one, and then create a site, create protection container, create a site, create protection container, map networks, associate replication policy, enable replication, protection configuration, finalize protection on primary virtual machine. All of that is successful. Okay, now if you want to know more about any particular event, you can click on that. So this finalize protection on recovery virtual machine, that event or that log, it's actually a combination of 4 other things. Okay, so you can do and look at it that way as well. So let's say what else we need to do to the next phase. Okay, so here also they're asking us to look at the logs, and 2 of these jobs will make the most time to complete. And if you select either of the enable replication jobs, you will see that installing mobility surface and preparing traffic steps can take between 5 to 10 minutes. So just remember those 2 steps, they take a little longer. So here is most likely one. So I'm just looking at the time, right? So that took a while. And you can also do and order by the duration. And the other job, so these 2 took a lot of time, and the protection configuration looks like it took only about 1 minute for us, but it could take a little bit longer in your case. Okay, so we have done this. So let's look at a little bit more on over here, replicated items. Do we have anything? Yes, we do. So here, this once your replication is done, the replication health status would show up. It should be healthy. Okay, if the replication can be done properly, and the status needs to be protected before you can do an replication. So at this time you can click on it. You can do a test failover and a complete failover, or you can do disable replication if you like at this time as well. But we know that the two machines, they are ready. The new site replication agent update is available. Click to install. This is something new I have not seen. I'm not going to do anything right now on this one. Let's do what we need to do. So as part of the next thing you really need to do is run a disaster recovery drill. And what does it do? So before you do a full replication, you want to do some testing. That's pretty much all we need to do. So let's think about this. Okay, next what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a recovery plan, and steps are given over here, and it's fairly simple. So what we'll do, we'll go to under the manage in our vault. Under manage, we'll go and select the recovery plans. Okay, so come over here. So over here, the manage they're talking about in this left hand section, manage. Okay, under manage you have a recovery plans, site recovery. So that is what you're going to choose, and we need to create a recovery plan. Okay, so let's click on that one, and we're going to configure the way they are asking us to do. We're going to use this name in the name field, so let's do that. So name field, we have that. Source, we are going to choose the US2 because that's where we have all of our resources deployed, right? Target is US2. Allow item with deployment model, and this one most likely we're going to choose ARM or resource manager as we expected. Selected items 0, and from here click on selected items and choose your components to VM, and then OK. So here you can choose whether you only want to do this this plan for one VM or multiple. I'm just going to choose both of them and hit OK. Okay, so now have this set up, and it says up to 100 protected instances can be added to recovery plan. So what do you need if you have more? Just create multiple plans. Okay, so hit OK, and it should create your recovery plan just fine. So at this time we are ready to run a test failover using a recovery plan. Now you can do this using going to the individual VM as well, or you can do this using a recovery plan as I said, and this time we are going to use our recovery plan to do our testing. Okay, so what you need to do, if you click on it, okay, this view has now shown up, right? Let's go back over here. So what it says, ASR Deer Drill, that's the name of it. So if you look at this one, now this plan, setting customized test failover and failover, see, so these two buttons, they are now available. So if you click on the test failover, it will start the deployment and testing of that two virtual machines from the source to the target region. Okay, let's see what they're asking us to do. So here they're saying just click on the test failover and do this setting. The network configuration failover support for each VM can take several minutes, so that's fine. So here let's just first click on a test failover, and it should give us the new window right over here. Okay, over here you see that it's gonna failover direction from west to east. They are grayed out. You don't need to choose anything. And for this one you can choose any of it. I'm just gonna choose the last process just to save time. Now Azure Virtual Network, we have created this ASR VNet ASR. We're gonna choose that one. Okay. Now let's see if they're asking us to choose the same network or not. Select ASR VNet Azure as the virtual network. Yeah, so that everything looks good. Here they're actually asking to choose the latest app consistent recovery, so let's maybe change that to latest app consistent and come back. So we have done all of that, and then all you need to do is click OK. So this experience is same if you do this via a particular VM which is already been replicated. So now pretty much what you need to do, you need to test this failover for a little while and see how it's going. Okay, so if you come over here again, you go back to monitoring under site recovery jobs, you will have a detailed idea what is going on. So let's go back over here, go to monitoring and site recovery jobs. Okay, so test failover, this is now in progress that we started, and it's, you can like review now what is going on with this particular test failover. So let's see, select test failover, and you can also choose this, and it's going to give you the more details about what's going on under this one. So looks like prerequisite check was successful, recovery plan failover is in progress, and we have 2 virtual machines in this group. Okay, so it's also giving you what vault, this is the vault, the recovery plan is this, and here's the job ID. Here it looks like you can cancel the job at this time if you like. You can also look at the environmental details and stuff like that. Okay, so we're gonna wait for a little bit, and once this job is done, we'll continue with the video again. So let's just give it a couple minutes, or maybe 5 minutes, and we'll come back. Alright everyone, it only took like probably 5 minutes or so, and it says the test failover is now successful. Okay, so let's see what else do we need to do. So if you can look at the job, maybe if you want to look at some more into this, you can click on it, and you should see that every single one, so every single job is now successful. Even you can drill down to this one, it's going to give you the details about each individual machines, and same thing over here. Okay, so everything looks good, everything is fine, our test failover is successful. So at this time you can clean up the resources that are created for your test failover. Let's see if they're asking us to do that or not. Alright, so once the job's finished, on the far left select virtual machines. So let's go over here. Let's see if we can find virtual machines in here. No, it's not in there, so it's probably still under recovery plans, under the recovery drill, and I don't see. Let's see over here. Okay, I don't see that, so maybe let's go over there, go to our monitoring, and then again site recovery jobs, from this test failover, and just look at this. Okay, so here I can, now from here I can go to the virtual machine site if I like, most likely. Okay, so I can, these are the virtual machine. Now let's see if that's what they wanted us to do. Okay, so okay, dashboard, from there directly they're asking us to go to the virtual machine, so we can do that. From here we can just search for the virtual machines, and I think what we are trying to prove that we now probably have more virtual machine, and there are 2 HR records test and patient records test. Now you see these 2 are now deployed in the East US location, or East US 2 location, right? So these 2 we have, they are actually running and they are in the primary location, and during the test failover we have created these 2 virtual machines which are deployed in the East US. Let's see, in theory we should be cleaning up this. Let's see. Alright, so if you come back over here, select one of the new VMs, and then left setting and networking, and just review the networking real quick. So if we can come back over here, In these two I can choose any of this and go to the networking, and if I go to the networking, it should give us our networking options. Like this is the network interface it has got created. It's got a private IP address, public no public IP address, but everything else is over here. Okay. Excuse me. So we got that. Let's go back, and if you want to look at how it's designed, and you can click on the topology and it should give you the general network topology. So that's the ASR VNet ASR that we have selected at the beginning, and under this we have a default subnet, and inside the subnet I have that particular virtual machine. Okay, so we have verified that. Once we satisfy with test results, make sure to capture any notes about the test outcome. Okay, and again, as I said, once the test machines, you don't want to keep them forever. You want to clean up the resources once you are satisfied with this test. And how to do that? So let's go back to our recovery services vault. So recovery services vault, from here, that's the vault that we have. Under this vault we created recovery plans. Here's our plan, and if you actually go back, and I'll show you what it says. Recovery services plan, and current job, it says cleanup test failover pending. So it says that we have not done the cleanup. So you can really click over here as well to go to this. Let's see, from here, can you do that? No, from not here. So where is it? So let's click on this one more. Why is it coming give me this particular? So this is where I want to be. Okay, so this is the ASR wall, and here is the button. You see that you just need to click on that one and it will start your cleanup process. So here you can put some note like, I am satisfied with the test failover. Okay, so what's gonna happen if you hit OK? You would think that it's gonna delete the test machines that it has created. So let's see what happens. Just give it a little bit of time again. Looks like everything that we do, they show up under our monitor and then site recovery jobs. So there we go. So it showed up. So just give it a couple more seconds and we'll be back. Alright, it looks like the test failover cleanup is now successful. So that's excellent. So go back to your overview. Okay, so again you can go back to your protected items and then replicated items. They should be here, and what we can do now, you can do a failover on individual VMs from here, or again you can go back to recovery plans, site recovery, and what you can do a failover right now and start the failover process. Now this failover process is going to take some time. This probably take longer than anything else. And this failover, this is from west to east. Okay, and then you can again choose the app consistent if you like, and when the real failover is happening, it will shut down the machines before beginning the failover. So whatever in your primary region, they will get shut off. So just make sure that you are doing it at a convenient time. Okay, and so if I hit OK, again this is starting, and just like anything else, monitoring. And if you go to the site recovery jobs, this is going to show up. You can again click on this one to see the details of what's going on. So let's give it maybe 5 minutes or so. If it's deployed, then we'll probably end the video here. You can, if you go to the exercise, they will talk about some more about failover and failing back using site recovery. Failing back is exactly the same as failover. So failing back is when maybe you had the disaster recovery, you had to fail over, but then you have fixed everything in your primary region. You want to bring your resources back to the primary region again, and the process is going to be exactly the same. Your direction would be in that case from east to west in this case, and that's about it. Okay. The other thing is something called the re-protection. The re-protection, if you want to do this, you got to do it at the VM level, and you would be running these setup commands over here, which I'm not going to go over in this particular lab. Okay, there's some other useful things, and this is like how you fail back. And as I said, it's just going to be, you're still going to choose the failover. Everything else you're going to choose the similar way, and you just move your resources from west to east. So that's pretty much what we wanted to cover in this particular lab. It was probably one of the longer labs. Here we have learned really how to protect your Azure infrastructure with Azure Site Recovery. So we have done a whole bunch of different things in here. We created a site recovery plan. We created deployed resources in the west, created a resource group in the east, then created a virtual network in the east, created a storage account in the west for the use of our recovery purposes, then created a recovery services vault in the east, and using that vault we configured our replication policy, then replicated our machines, we performed the test failover, and finally when we're satisfied, at the end we are doing our failover. So I'm still going to give it a couple more minutes. As soon as it's done, one last thing that you have to do when this is successful, you still have to go to the status of the virtual machine, and you have to hit the commit to accept the replicated VMs in the new region, and we'll see that, and we'll end the video right after that. I'm just pausing, be back in a couple seconds. Alright, it looks like our failover is done. So all of this deployment has been successful. So what I want to do at this time, check over here one more time. The failover is successful. So now we can go to our replicated items, and here it should also say the status is failover is completed. So let's click on that one. And what you see over here, the replication health is no longer there because failover is completed. So there is you have not defined a new failover, new policy for the new machines that got created in the east to west. We have not created anything, but at this time what you need to do, come up over here, click over here, and you gotta say commit. Okay, commit. Okay, so now you want to commit the virtual machine. Once commit, you cannot change the recovery point. Yeah, I say yes, and this is committing this failover, which is successful, and do the, I guess that one, yeah, do the same thing for the other one as well, and say okay. And this is doing it. You might be able to do that from your recovery services plan as well, most likely. So if you click on that one, if you want to do that for the both VMs at the same time, all you need to do is click on the commit. Okay, and it will do everything for you. Now if you want to re-protect the new machines that got deployed, so that means it will start replication of those newly deployed machines, which will become primary, back to the west US, which will become the secondary. So you can go through and re-protect that one. Alright, that's all I think I wanted to cover in this video. So you should have a very good understanding of how to create a recovery services vault, and especially how to go through the replication method, and what you really need as an infrastructure for the whole process. So if you're studying for this exam, 300 levels, 303, 304, good luck with that. Thanks for watching the video. Please leave a comment, subscribe, and good luck again.